Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about portals, text messages, and incentives as part of your overall NSSE recruitment strategies. So first, we'll start with student portals. In addition to recruitment messages, your students can access their surveys from unique links that are posted in their portals or learning management platforms like Canvas, Blackboard, for example. And so for us, NSSE will customize unique survey links for each of your students in your population file so that you can then embed that link into their portal or LMS page. So every time they log into their account, they will see that they are eligible to take the NSSE survey, and it's an additional touch point for them to see. If you want to use student portals and LMS recruitment options, you need to let us know by indicating yes or no on the interface. Using portal links is not an additional cost for you as part of your overall survey administration, and there will be no penalty if you, for example, test it out and decide that you will not be using survey links that year in terms of for your portal. There's no penalty for you not using them as well. If you do decide to use student portal links, you do want to coordinate it with your staff on your IT side to make sure that posting unique links is possible for your platform. Because there's so much variance in portal configuration, NSSE can't support you with technical support, but we do have some institutions who shared some examples and technical advice available for you in the student portal and LMS section of your interface. You can click on either of these links to see that advice. You can also look at the hyperlinked options for survey links in your portals, an overview of what it looks like, and then more details about the individual survey links here. Next, we'll talk about text messages. So text messages have become an additional, more common use for recruiting students to take their NSSE survey. And so we have a little bit of a section on using text messages for NSSE under your Promoting NSSE on Campus section on the interface. And so we have some tips and tricks for a successful administration available here, and as well as some guidelines for participating and using text messages for it. And so you need to consult with your legal and privacy experts to make sure that you're complying with any federal or state laws before you initiate sending any text messages to your students to promote NSSE. But participating in NSSE and using those text message options are also an option for you to recruit with as well. And then the last thing that we'll cover today is incentives. Incentives are a way for you to quite literally just incentivize students to participate in the survey. And so incentives are in a little bit of a different section. And so I'm going to actually reset this so that you can see what it looks like. Right. And so let's go in here and I'm going to hit start over. So if you do decide that you want to provide an incentive, or even if you're on the fence, we have some survey incentive frequently asked questions here for you to review if your campus isn't sure whether or not they're going to use incentives or not. It's important that you make the decision because incentives do have a deadline to be finalized, and you'll want to refer to your interface for the deadline for that particular year. And so when you decide that you want to have an incentive, you'll just indicate what type of incentive by selecting from the drop down below. Of course, if you don't plan to offer an incentive, you can select no and then hit submit, and there will be no further steps for you in terms of your incentive portion. But if you do think you want to order or to have an incentive, you'll select whichever one most closely matches the incentive that you are planning to offer. If you are a campus that tends to take a little bit of time to get through an approval process for incentives, you do want to make sure that you start that early in the fall so that you can lock these in before the deadline. I'm going to say that we're going to do a drawing for a gift card just to demonstrate today. So yes, we're going to do a drawing for gift cards, i.e. Amazon or a campus bookstore, and then we're going to hit submit. Like I mentioned in the last video, every time you customize a section of your survey administration, you want to make sure that you submit those edits for that section before you move on to a new section. Because as you just noticed, when I hit submit, it showed me a new item or a new set of things, tasks that I need to do to make sure that I complete this effectively. And so with this incentive, since I'm going to do an incentive, it's going to tell you first and foremost, you have to choose between an odd statement. So first we want to satisfy those IRB requirements, right? Since I selected that they'll be drawing for a gift card of some sort, I want to make sure that students are aware of what the likelihood of them winning is. So you can select one of these pre-set IRB odd statements, right? And the only difference is your chances of winning depend on how many complete the survey. And then the second portion is a little bit different. You can either tell the students how many people total were invited to participate in taking the survey, or if it's depending on how many people complete the survey, you can tell them how many people responded to the survey. So that's essentially the difference between these two statements here. Once you decide on this, I've already selected that one, but if you want to, you just hover over the bubbles here. And then secondly, you're going to insert the details of your incentive into the template. You want to be as specific as possible, and these fields are highlighted for your convenience about which portions you need to be specific about. And so we want to note that establishing a deadline for your incentives is completely optional. But if you don't wish to use one, you can remove this section. If you do wish to include one, you would just edit the text that's inside of that. We want to make sure that you are particularly take notice of the number of gift cards, and make sure you always include the gift card name. Even if you're not using a gift card, this is just an example, but if you do, for example, a tech drawing and so on and so forth, it will show you different fields that are essentially non-negotiables that you have to make sure that you clarify what they are. You want to be as specific as possible when you are detailing your incentives. Just like always, we want to make sure that we are in alignment with our IRB requirements as well. And so for the record, NSSE staff does review and approve all incentive language, and then it's inserted into your recruitment messages that we talked about in the last video. And so all of your incentive language is going to be repeated in your messages, and they can't be customized to be different incentives statements for every single message that you do. Much like I mentioned before, if you're done with this section and you like what you've edited, I've only edited one thing here for the sake of that, but I'll just go ahead and change this to 2, for example. I submit those edits before I move on. And as you can see, that 2 here is reflected, but I also see that this has not been changed and this has not been changed, nor has this. And it'll show you that you need to please edit the bolded text. So you can go back and edit. You can start over if you need to, but also, just as I mentioned last time, whenever you complete your edits, you want to make sure that you hit submit so that you finalize them. And I'll just say, this is $25, and I don't want a deadline. So I'm going to submit those. And I missed one, so I'm going to go back. Gift card name, I'm going to say it's Amazon. There we go. And as you can see, my error message has removed, the bolded error message has removed for me because I filled in all of the required pieces for this incentive statement. And that covers your portals, your text messages, and your incentives.